All right, so we're going to be taking a look at the post-to-GL solution for Salesforce and Financial Edge NXT. So essentially, on our Salesforce instance, I've got a couple of opportunities that we'll be using to send over to Financial Edge. On these opportunities, we'll be utilizing the GAU allocations to drive some of our distributions over in Financial Edge NXT. And here in Omatic Cloud, this is where your formula is going to live and the interface for the post-to-GL solution for Salesforce. And so you'll see that we can connect to your Salesforce instances here using auth authentication. We can connect to your sandbox instance for any kind of testing if you'd like, then promote things to your production instance. And of course, the same way that we're authenticating against FENXT as well there. Now, when you come in to create your posting parameter, you would just select the options here for your criteria that you wanted to specify, things like what opportunity stage or campaigns or date criteria that you want to use, whether it's, let's say, like your close date, date created, or date last modified, as well as if, let's say, there's a validation issue with the batch, you can have it removed if it fails during processing. And so we'd kick that off there. And while that's processing, we'll go and take a look at the actual formula that we created for the output. So with this, you'll see that I've got a couple of different rows for different settings within my batches in FENXT. And so if I go back to my batch, you'll see this top row is my batch settings. So that's essentially driving my batch description, batch status, whether or not we're creating interfund sets or making adjustments to the bank's cash account. Your journal entry output here is then going to be this data that you see down in my example data below. What I really like about the post-to-GL application is that it shows you how any type of changes may impact that data. So let's say we want to format our date time formatting and use a time stamp included on there. Or let's say I want to actually remove those separators between my formatting. I can come in, remove those separators, click the apply, and then what we'll see is down here in my field for my date time, that formatting will then become kind of stripped out and take off those separators there as you see, so that you get real-time validation into the outputs that you may be driving based on any of your logic operations that you would have applied to the data. Down here for my distribution, so this is going to be the project distributions that you see down in this bottom area. And essentially, I was using the GAU values in Salesforce to associate with a project. And so you'll see here, I've got my project 1001. And basically here, I used a logic operator of if-then logic. So we've got any number of operators for different types of cleanup and data transformations. So we've got basic things from appending a value, taking a value from Salesforce and appending that into our file output, or in this case, into our batch in Financial Edge NXT. Things like fixed length formatting or a math calculation, number formatting to add dollar signs or decimals there. But you can also do more advanced things with things like your if-then logic or even true-false logic. So here what I've done is I've built in my if-then logic to essentially translate a mapped value for a GAU coming from Salesforce to define a value of my project. So my grouping here is saying if my mapped field of project is equal to this ALL69 value, then associate it with project 1001. And then down below, I've got ALL70, 1002, and so forth and so forth. And that's essentially how I built the project distributions to be associated with those GAUs coming over from Salesforce, as well as if you have any kind of transaction codes that you're utilizing in Financial Edge that we need to create entries for, that can be done as well. And then again, so once we go and take a look, there we go, it's now finished processing for us. It'll show us that new batch that we created and include a link to that batch, so that if I just refresh my page, if I didn't have FENXT open, I could then open that journal entry batch from Omatic Cloud there. And you'll see now we've got our Salesforce batch here. And so we'll take a look at that batch. You'll see that we have our total debits and total credits are in balance as well. We've got all of our debits and credits associated within the batch entry here, as we see. And that's how the post-to-GL solution with Salesforce and Financial Edge NXT is going to allow you to continually output your opportunity information into the appropriate format with the needed data elements that your Financial Edge NXT configuration requires. And thanks so much. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at info@omaticsoftware.com.